Yeah.
What's up, Hazel? Oh my God, can you believe the shit we've gone
Hey.
through, like trying to get
Ooh.
Instagram live and joining each other, and I mean, it's a learning lesson, and it's just one of the things that
Mm-hmm.
we'll be able to work on in the future, and hopefully,
Yeah.
a social media expert will fall into our laps and just help us.
Yeah,
Solve the
another social
humanity.
media artist to help me. And we can work
Right.
together.
I mean, but that's the whole point of it. And this is the reason why we're doing this weekend. It's also to raise funds so
Hmm.
that we can actually have, industry professionals come in and, pay them what they're worth, you know what I mean, to
Hmm.
help you all gain a little bit more worth, so to speak. So
Yeah.
we're here now. So everyone, thank
Yeah.
you for watching. We will definitely, you'll definitely get to see this now.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
what's up, Hazel? How are you?
I'm good. I'm super excited to be doing this with you because I know that when I've talked about being your intern, being an intern at the House of Odd, people are like, "Oh my gosh, Sean like looks like he's such an amazing person. He's like
Oh,
is so
wow.
personable. We're just, we get dragged into this like wonderful persona, but we want to know more. And so like I'm so excited to be asking you these questions and getting to know you a bit more and then letting the world know
Yeah,
who
I'm
you
excited
are
to
and how
answer.
great you are.
Look, I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
excited to
Yeah.
answer. Um, yeah, no, this is probably one of the the most vulnerable um moment for me, doing these live interviews, just this whole weekend and as a whole, because, I'm so used to staying in my own lane, so to speak, right? So
Mhm.
I'm used to staying
Mhm.
in my own lane and being quiet, always wanting to help so many people, but then at the same time, not really wanting to ask others for help. And so
Yeah.
putting myself out there is really like a big obstacle for me. And so with you guys' help, I've been able to actually, I'm doing that now. So
Yeah.
I'm excited
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I mean, to tell you the
This
truth,
is
I literally have friends that I've known for years, and they could not tell you exactly what it is I do, right? Um, so to me, I'm like, okay, we're gonna do a whole damn weekend,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
hopefully they'll, everybody will, be able to jump into my mind for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. We're giving the people what they want. Yeah.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So what's up?
So why don't we
Yeah, I mean, I have some questions
let's
that
get
I
into
got from
it?
people. I know you have some questions that you
Hmm.
got from people. So yeah,
Yeah.
let's go on and get started, I guess.
Yeah. I think the biggest question that I know people are wanting to know from you is a little bit more about your background and like what was your process, your like kind of like life process to get to the point where you are today, founding the House of Odd?
Well,
Big question.
it's a very long story. And
Yeah.
we probably don't have time, so I'm probably gonna just do like a shorter, abridged version. And if in fact you have any
Mm-hmm.
questions, just feel free to ask me.
I'll
So I
dive
was
in.
born a
Yeah.
poor Black child. No, I'm kidding, right? I was born a Black child. I was born also a brown child, a little bit of a yellow child, and
Mm.
also a white child. Um, and we weren't that poor. We were not, financially well off, so to speak. And we pretty much had the same dysfunctions that most families of color actually have, right? So I grew up on off of Crenshaw and Adams, which was known as Los Angeles. And then it became known as South Central once the Rodney King riots happened. And now it has become the luxury city or community of West Adams, right?
Mm.
And I'm pretty sure most folks from that community or who used to live in that community understand exactly what I'm talking about as far as, all of the new businesses and all of the new
Mm-hmm.
community members and all of those kinds of changes and trains coming
Yeah.
through and all of that. So I actually grew up
Mm-hmm.
there. And then as I started getting into probably like about the 5th grade, so to speak, I went to La Tierra Elementary School, which is located in Inglewood, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I was I moved from living with my mom and my grandmother to actually moving to live with my dad in the 5th grade, right? So I lived with my dad and my stepmother in 5th grade. Really quick, interesting story. My dad was actually the person who got me to realize who it is that I am today, and who I was at the time. I used to come home from school. I'd have my little books in my hand, like on my shoulder, right? Just pooched like I am these days, you know. And my dad would be like, well, why do you carry your books like that? You know, he would say, or why do you smack every time you say something, right? And I would just look at him like weirdly, like, what do you mean? Like, why? Because again, in the 5th grade, I really didn't know, right? And what's so amazing about my dad is that he was not being rude. He was not being nasty or ugly, or he wasn't shunning me because of who I was. He really, you know, he's a very intelligent man, and we always call him like the last man because he's like the epitome of like the whole macho cisgender male stereotypical, I can put a gun together, take it apart, cars, he can put them together, take them apart. Like, he's fucking amazing when it comes to that stuff, right? But it was very interesting because he was asking me so that I could do self-reflection. And I feel like he knew but didn't know, but that's just always kind of been his style, is to kind of challenge me to, and my sisters and brothers, to really look at ourselves and really think about who it is that we are, right? And he really basically followed that up with, he was like, well, no matter what it is, you know, you are still my son and I love you. And so it just kind of, you know, I just kind of was who I was, and, you know, he just kind of supported that, so to speak, right? And my stepmother did as well. So it was really, really cool. So anyway, so I was in 5th grade and all that kind of stuff, carrying my books, smacking my teeth, all that or whatever, just exploring who I was. And it was a very different dynamic because of the fact that I was so sheltered living with my grandmother and my mother. Like literally we could not, like when I was riding my bike, I could only go so many houses down. I could not go across the street. I wasn't really allowed to like socialize with neighbors and those kinds of things. So living with my dad, it was like a whole different, and my dad's side of the family is just the complete opposite, right? So they're like, you know, my grandmother, actually, my dad's mom, you know, rest in peace, she actually had me going to the store to buy cigarettes and different things, probably like at the age of, I want to say 4 or 5. And although the store was maybe like what would seem like, oh, just 2 or 3 blocks down the street, I mean, for a 4 or 5-year-old, you know, my grandmother on my mom's side and all of them like literally lost their minds. So I kind of went from this structured environment to a more free-flowing kind of environment, right? But my dad was married to my stepmother, and at the time, my stepmother was very, very strict, right? So, I mean, I was one of those kids where if I was doing my homework and I ended up having to, I made a mistake, there was no erasing. I ended up having to really actually do the whole entire thing over, no matter where I was. Right. Some people might border that on abuse nowadays, but it was a discipline that I will never exchange for anything else, because to this day, even when it comes to typing things and stuff like that, even if I type a sentence wrong, I will go back and start the sentence completely over. That's why I hate writing, right? But I write very well now, as a tribute to that, right? So anyway, so she was very, very strict or whatever, but they ended up, so what ended up happening several years later, they ended up getting a divorce and whatnot. And so I still maintained, you know, my living situation with my dad. And so I was, I first started going to Inglewood High School, and then I went to Westchester High School, right? So, and then Westchester, of course, in Westchester, California, go Comets. Yeah, so I went there and whatnot. And so once my stepmother left, it was complete freedom. So probably from the age of maybe like 15 or 16, you know, I would see my dad probably in the morning. He would give me my little lunch money, and then he'd be like, okay, go to school. Okay, get yourself to eat. Okay, I'll see you in the afternoon. You know what I mean? And so I literally was living independently, although my dad was there. He just was not the type of dad to actually have, his hands on my neck, so to speak, like, okay, go this way, move there, and da 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 da. I really appreciate him for that, because it really allowed me to really do a lot of self-discovery and those kinds of things. It also allowed me to get in a lot of trouble in school, because a lot of times I was not in first period in high school. I was on Melrose Avenue and I was shopping or I would take the little money that he gave me, or I was window shopping, or you know what I mean? And I was
Mm-hmm.
really kind of discovering these queer areas and whatnot, right? And
Yeah.
mind you, I would like leave from Inglewood and hop on the bus and go all the way to Melrose Avenue. Um, and you know what I mean, and be there, you know, and then go back, and then finally like, okay, yeah, and then I would like go to school and get to school maybe like by, you know, third, fourth period or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that kind of came to a screeching halt because I came home and I had, you know, like I went to Westchester, I was so excited, and oh, I went to Westchester, and, da, 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 and I came home,
Mm-hmm.
literally everyone, let me just tell you something about education and things like that. You don't necessarily have to go to school, and school is not always the place for young people. And it's really about finding those things and those gifts and those talents and expounding on that for you. I'm not saying don't go to school. I'm just saying that it's not for everyone, because my first semester let's say at Reach LA. No, my first semester at Westchester High School, I got uh, 3 fails, 2 Ds, and a C. That was when you get the 6 little grades or whatever the case may be, right? And my
Mm-hmm.
dad had just given me a brand new car, or not a brand new car, but a new used car and I was like,
Yeah.
I was probably like 15 and a half or something. So he gave me like this little car and stuff. And it was, you know, but it was cool. It was a cool car. It was stick shift. I'm like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
whatever, da, da,
Mm-hmm.
da, da. And he was like, okay, you know, when that happened, I mean, he was literally ready to just like kill me, like really ready to break my neck, because I feel like he realized at that time, it was like, okay, I'm giving you all this freedom and stuff like that. And if I put my hands on you right now, or I say anything to you right now, like he literally didn't talk to me probably for like 24 hours. And I kind of like hid out in the car
Mm-hmm.
because I was scared to like go in the house or whatever, right? And so
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, so yeah, so he, you know, so he kind of took the car and all that kind of stuff or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
but pretty
Mm-hmm.
much throughout my entire high school life, he kind of just let me be, right? And
Yeah.
so probably the first, like maybe the last 6 months of my high school career, I met my first gay friends, Martell Roberts, Anthony Dodd, who, you know, rest in peace. He was one of the people that died in the plane crash with Aaliyah. Uh, I'm trying to think. Oh, and then Jamaica Jatoy. They are all kind of like my, you know, auntie's uncle kind of situation now at this point
Mm-hmm.
in life. But it was through them that I actually kind of found out what being gay actually was. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
was still, you know, I wasn't really out or anything like that, but they would come and they would pick me up in their fabulous convertible Mustang and, you know, introducing me to this
Mm-hmm.
nightlife and these different kinds of things. And they were very close to my age at the time, but they seemed so much older because they had more
Mm-hmm.
experience, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
in the gay lifestyle or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I met them. Through them, I ended up meeting my gay parent, who has been my gay parent for 30 plus years, basically since 1989. I know I'm kind of old, but but yeah, so like in 1989, I met my gay parent, and he has been my gay parent for, again, the last 30 plus years. And so he has been a really integral part in my growing up. I mean, we are pretty much like best friends at this time, but I still have that same kind of
Mm-hmm.
respect level for him that one would have for a parent
Yeah.
or an extended family member, right?
Yeah.
So went to the high school, did the high school thing or whatever. Took a little moment trying to find myself, all that kind of stuff. Graduated from high school,
Mm-hmm.
went to FITM, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising,
Mm-hmm.
um, for visual presentation, which was called then, which is basically window displays, all of those kinds of things. And so during that time, I really jumped really heavily into working in retail. Really, I honestly, at 16, I had my very first job working in retail at the store called GHQ. It was like Judy's, and you know, it was like men's high end, kind of like Politics is now,
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, or whatever, right? And then I started working for a friend on vacation to go work at the Gap. And I really started getting into retail, and that's when I was really like, oh my God, I'm living for fashion, I'm living for art, I'm living
Mm-hmm.
for all of these different
Mm-hmm.
things or whatever. So yeah, I went to FITM and stuff, and what ended up happening was I did not completely finish. Again, I'm just not a school person. My attention span is very, very short as an artist, and it just, I mean, it ended up working out because I just
Yeah.
dove into fashion and retail and stuff, and just really excelling. And it was funny because that's where I learned too that if, you know, when I went to go work for the Gap, I ended up climbing up the ladder as a visual merchandiser and, you know, eventually into management and all of those types of things. And so I really found a way to navigate what I could do, as opposed to what people were saying that I should do. You know what I mean? I find oftentimes young people get trapped in, you know, what people are saying they should do, as opposed to giving them that support of, you know, well, what do you really want to do? And how do we get you there? And I think Aniche really addressed that very well in his previous video, just by saying his foster parents put him in dance to keep him out of trouble. Right? It's about recognizing what young people really want to do and how they can, you know, how we can get them there. And so that's really our mission, of course, at the House of Art as well. So fast forward, you know, just was doing the retail thing and playing and hanging out with friends and, you know, meeting people, all that kind of stuff. And then we fast forward, I guess, to, I'm like, what happened in between time? Well, a whole lot of stuff happened in between there, you know, just growing up and just life or whatever. So, I mean, I'm just gonna fast forward. So I just, like, in 2006, I was actually going to school for massage therapy, and I was working part-time at Marshall's, right? And it was so crazy because working at Marshall's, it's funny because it's like, you know, I was spending my entire paycheck on clothes and, you know, and stuff there or whatever, right? Because you get the discount and all that kind of stuff. So it was just kind of like my little clothing allowance, or any kind of label sunglasses that would come in or anything, you know, I'm just like buying layaway, all this kind of stuff, right? And so, yeah, so I started doing that. And then a friend of mine, while I was in school, a friend of mine, Tyrone Carter, he was like, he was working at Reach LA at the time. And he was in charge of a young men's program. And he said, hey, Sean, you know, we have some kids here who really want to do a ball. And, you know, I know that you're really, you know, you're really involved in the house and ballroom community, because I've actually been voguing or started voguing in 1992. And then it was just kind of like this long, you know, progression of being in different houses and all of that. If you really want to know my ballroom story or that kind of origin, I just did an interview with the Ford Theater and Disney Hall, and that'll be out on November the 21st. So we'll let you guys know when to check that out. But yeah, so I had been involved in the ballroom community for a very, very long time, you know, just in and out, just doing different things. And so Tyrone was like, you know, Reach LA would really like for you to come and host a ball for us or whatnot, right? And so that was in the summer of 2006. I did the very first Ovanist ball. And then I was basically, you know, volunteering, right? And so everybody was like, you're fucking crazy. Why are you volunteering for an organization? And you should be working somewhere. And, you know, grandmother, everybody, you know, boyfriend at the time, you know, like, why are you doing this or whatever? But it was something that I really, you know, the cause and the mission that they had with the HIV testing and all of that was something that I really, really believed in, because I really did not get my first HIV test until I was 35 years old, right? And so it was really important for me, once I did that, to kind of continue on the whole, you know, let me see what I can do. A lot of people don't know, you know, like my brother passed away when he was only 27 years old. And so he actually had HIV and died from complications of leukemia or whatnot, right? And so that was very, you know, difficult, because I was much younger at the time when that happened. But again, going up and then kind of revisiting, because before I was kind of like, well, if I don't know what my status is and all that kind of stuff, you know, I'm the better off I am, right? It's like knowing is not better, you know, knowing is better, is not better than not knowing for me at the time, right? And so once I took my first test and stuff, I just really, you know, and then Tyrone came to me and stuff, and I said, well, you know what, I really want to volunteer at this organization so that I can actually help my friends in my community with their, you know, their health disparities or whatnot. So yeah, so went there, did that, started working in 2007, met Carla Gordon. Oh my God, shout out to my mother at work. Shout out to Carla Gordon for all of the support. She is definitely an example of when you support someone and they know that you're there for them. She is definitely that example of the type of person that can really change lives. And I really, when I grow up, I really want to be like Carla Gordon. I mean, some of y'all already say that I'm like Carla Gordon already, but you know what I mean. And so, yeah, I met her. And so we just started talking about different things. And I was telling her, you know, that I had, you know, been designing clothes before and worked as a wardrobe stylist and all of these things. And, you know, she would see the different clothes that I would come in with. And yeah, so she was just really excited about it. And, you know, she was like, well, you know, and I just kept asking them at Reach. I was like, well, what are you guys doing with this artwork that's on the walls? Like, who did this? They were like, well, the kids did this. And I was like, well, we need to be figuring out how to put this on t-shirts and skateboards and, you know,
Yeah.
all these kinds of, you know, different artistic things, but things that would actually put the organization on an even playing field with all of the other competitive types of businesses that were around, right? And something that would actually attract, you know, young people. And so,
Yeah.
you know, we did the Openist Ball, and then I started producing it. And then we, you know, I last year was Openist 14. So I was really grateful to be able to do that. I mean, that's not something that most people say that they have done or will do, you know? So, I mean, I'm really, really grateful for that opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I was working there and everything. And then we started developing our arts programs. We met some really amazing dancers like Jamari, well, now legendary Jamari Balmain, Father Balmain, who was just on Legendary. You know, we met him, we met Davion Williams. Aniche was pretty much already there at Reach LA, Gia Banks, yeah, and a couple of others, you know, and Carla was like, you know, we were like, okay, well, we got these dancers, girl, we need a dance studio. Let's put a dance studio together, right? And so Carla got to writing, you know, Martha was there at the time, and Martha started doing a little writing and stuff. And, you know, the dance studio, you know, came about, right? So it was like, okay, now we need to create some kind of platform for these young people to dance on, you know what I mean? And let's get in front of these different people and see what type of response we get, and see also how we can actually help them sustain the, you know, themselves, right? And get money to pay them for their art, you know, not like, okay, can you just come and do this for free and, you know, okay, thank you, move on, now that we have our numbers or whatnot. It wasn't that type of situation. It was very much like, okay, me and Carla were very, very adamant about, we need to pay these people for their, you know, especially these young people, for their work, right? And giving them some sense of value and some sense of worth to what it is they do. Excuse the helicopter, but okay. Still living kind of in the hood, but you know, it's all right. But yeah, so we, you know, those things just kind of developed out. And, you know, I had the privilege of actually joining one of the founders, the original founders of Reach LA, Laura Owens. I had the privilege of actually being a part of a exhibition, or, you know, a showing that she had at the Whitney Museum in New York City. And she asked me to come along and really talk about like the work that I do in conjunction with her, you know, with her showing. And so the Whitney flew me, my assistant, shout out to Adrian Adams, AKA Emily, AKA M007. I will talk about Adrian a little later on in this weekend's broadcast, but at the same time, you know, shout out to Adrian. You know, the Whitney actually afforded myself, Adrian, and then another person who was working with Laura at the time to all be artists in residence at the Whitney Museum, which is huge, which is amazing. And so we went, we talked, you know, we had a whole little ballroom kind of conversation, workshop, panel, whatever you want to call it. It was amazing. It was right off of they have a very large room right off of the river, and you could just, you know, just picturesque. It was just amazing, right? And so after we did the presentation, you know, we even got, you know, Laura and a couple other people to come, you know, original founders of Reach LA to come and, you know, sit down and do a little talk and tell a little something. And so, yeah, so they came, they did it. And, you know, after the meeting, you know, we were all sitting down and people just kept asking. They said, well, Sean, you know, well, what do you want to do next? Right. And I just started talking about this whole concept about creating an organization that was going to help young people utilize the skills that they had to create a self-sustainable life. And, you know, we just kind of went back and forth or whatever. And they were like, okay, well, we're going to help you do it. And I just was like, wow. Right. I was just like, wow, like, you know, the little boy from South Central, they're like, we're going to help you do it. And I was just like, okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so, we had a couple discussions and talks and going back and forth and, trying to get things to work out or whatnot. And as of February of last year, I just said, hey, Reach, love you, mean it. We're going to definitely be working together, in the
Mm-hmm.
future. And, it was no tea, no shade, nothing like that, or whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Here we are. And I'm
Yeah.
just really excited about it. Again, I can't believe the things that we've actually done in the last 6 months. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's only been 6 months, and I have to really look in the mirror a lot of times and be like, look, bitch, you've only been doing this for 6 months. So trying to compare this to anything that you've done over the last 14 years, this is a brand
Yeah.
new organization.
Yeah.
You have all of the support and love that you need. And you can do this. And I really have to say that to myself, almost
Yeah.
every day, because I'm always trying to compare, and it's just like, girl,
Mm-hmm.
6 months, like really, who does this
Mm-hmm.
in 6 months, right? So,
Yeah.
so yeah, so that's kind of like how we got to here, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that.
That was all long and
It's
drawn out,
really,
y'all. I know, but people really ask these questions, and so I try to give as much as I can while I
yeah.
can.
No, and we wanted the story, you know. But that's really amazing because I can totally see, and I'm sure so many other people can totally see how your life has culminated to this
Mhm.
moment, and like, you know, the drive that you learned and like the freedom that you gained and like still utilize today is like super super prominent. So I appreciated that story a lot.
Well, thank you.
um
Did it too.
yeah, yeah. um okay, cool. Let's think. What other things do we want to know?
Yeah, I was like, I know some people have sent you some questions, and I have some
Yeah,
questions too that people have sent me. So, I mean, let's just kind
yeah.
of dive into it, and I'll give short form answers. It doesn't have to be very long. Again, because I
Okay.
really want people to be able to get into, especially if they have not seen, the previous broadcast and stuff like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then also prepare for
Yeah.
tomorrow, because tomorrow's show is everything.
Yes.
Just like
Yes. Oh
today,
my
just like
gosh.
a slight, introduction. But tomorrow we also have some very, very amazing programming.
Mm-hmm.
So get on
Mm-hmm.
to the questions, girl. Come on, let's go.
All right. All right. So one of the questions that, you know, we changed, House of Ot changed our kind of like model because of coronavirus, because of COVID-19. And I was wondering, and a lot of other people were wondering, like, what exactly changed there? And like how has COVID affected you and the organization, and what does it look like now? Because like I know that I can answer that, but they want you.
Okay, so here's the deal. So when we first started, we were like, I basically was taking everything that I had already done at Reach LA and taking that as and creating the House of Art as an extension of that, right? And
Mm-hmm.
primarily focusing on the arts, right? A lot of people may not know, but we actually were this whole, year for us, even though it was 6 months, we've been fully supported and funded by artists, right? And so
Mm-hmm.
my whole
Mm-hmm.
goal was to actually take that and really just focus specifically on art, right? And art
Mm-hmm.
forms that Black and Brown LGBTQIA plus young people can identify with and relate with, right? And so yeah, so it was like, okay, so we're gonna do these workshops and we're gonna do all these group activities and these
Mm-hmm.
fun things, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
work with Reach LA to do
Mm-hmm.
this and that, and da da da. And it was like, girl, COVID just happened, right? And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, what a time to start a new organization, right? Like, how
Yeah.
the hell are we gonna actually do something, right? Like, what are we gonna do? Um, and so just trying to roll out that type of programming, it started becoming very difficult. And because
Mm-hmm.
again, there were so many different restrictions, people didn't know what was going on, who you could talk to, who you could, be around, all of that. Or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
it just kind of hit me, and I was just like, well, we're kind of going inch by inch, and kind of at a snail's pace, but we are working individually with these young people, right? And then I also too
Yeah.
was doing individual work with young people, even here, like there's a few Latino folks that live in my building, and there's some young kids, and even I personally were noticing how their demeanor and stuff was changing because they weren't able to go to school, right? And then they also were having problems with Wi-Fi and being able to have a sufficient computer or whatnot to like log on even for school, you know, to go to school at home or go to school virtually, right? So personally, I was already like, okay, you know, let me get this kid a computer. Okay, let me help this kid with the Wi-Fi and stuff like that. So I was working with a couple of kids in my building, and these are just younger kids who are pretty much outside of our demographic, but I know their parents in the building and all that. And I know they, you know, a lot of their parents are not English, necessarily fluent English speakers. And so I just helped them whichever way I could, right? And so with the House of Art, we were doing that too, but we were doing that with artists, right? And so I was like, this is all really starting to look like an artist development model. And I feel like this would be the best model for us, because then we're able to work one-on-one, or we're able to work virtually, and we can give young people the attention that they need, right? Now, don't get me wrong, we still are going to plan on doing workshops, and we'll be doing large venue showcases when we can. But at the same time, you know what I mean? It's just one of those situations where it ended up kind of becoming a blessing for us, because we were actually able to do all the things that not all the things we're showing, but the few things that we're showing, plus the other things that we've done, we were able to do all of those things virtually. Or in very small group settings, right? And also we were able to work with venues that would allow us to, or venues that would keep us within the restrictions of COVID, so to speak, right? So yeah, that's where kind of like the artist development model came. Again, I know COVID is not a blessing for everyone and all of that, but I always try to look at the light at the end, you know, for the light at the end of the tunnel. And it just really seems to be that, that light for us, right? And so it's been working out really, really good. And, you know, everybody seems to be pleased, but we're in it. You know what I mean? Like we're doing it, so it's hard for us to see it. So I'm always trying to encourage you guys, like, just breathe. It's fine. You know, the Instagram live didn't work earlier or whatever. Oh well. I mean, we're doing something though. You know what I mean? And with every person that we reach, we get to teach, you know, and stuff. So it's cool. You know.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So let me go to another question. Why do you think that you got the name the Momager?
Oh. So in my history of working with young people, I am often the Momager. I am often the one who is not only micromanaging them as talent in a good way, but also helping to you know, manage them as talent, teaching them how to actually represent themselves as talent, and that can be any art form, helping them to look over, you know, contracts per se if they get a much larger gig, helping them to get gigs. But you know, people call me all the time, you know, for different opportunities for especially Black and Brown, queer, LGBTQIA plus young artists. And I want to say 99.9% of the time, I actually have like the perfect person or know the perfect person that I can just pick up my phone and call and be like, hey, here's an opportunity. Would you like to do it? Or here, would you like to collaborate with us at the House of Art? Because a lot of people don't know that we also are very, very adamant about making sure that the young people that we work with are compensated for their talent. If they're doing a dance number, and we're either buying supplies or outfits, or we're paying them an honorarium for their time. Also, you know, or we're paying for supplies for, you know, a young artist that may not have art supplies and is really talented, but has to choose food over art supplies. We are there for it. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's a no-brainer for me. You know what I mean? So I kind of got that name because I get very, very involved in the artists that we work with. I get very involved in their plight, in their mission, in their growth. And so we did you know, I had the opportunity to do do a ballroom spread pretty much for the LA Times. My mom had just passed away, and on that very Sunday of Mother's Day, the article actually came out. And so it was just really kind of crazy, bizarre. And then all of a sudden, you know, the Gia Banks of the world and the Nietzsche Smiths and the Days and Jamaris and all of them, they just started calling me Momager, and I've just been acting in that role ever since.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Wow. Wow, that's beautiful and powerful, and yeah, and exactly a great representation of who you are. You are the momager. So.
That is so crazy. It's so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, and don't be
Yeah.
over there crying, girl, because I get emotional and I'll be all, oh Lord Jesus, in my life. No. So yeah, so that's it with that.
Yeah.
Who else
Okay,
had a question? Who else had a question?
I mean, I have another kind of like fun one, and then let's go to what the questions you've been getting. But my fun question is, what was the most like fun project that you've ever done or collaborated with?
Well, I know this might seem a little politically correct, but all of them have been my favorite, and right now this is my favorite, to be quite honest with you, because it is a growth process. I mean, we all continually grow, and we will grow and grow and grow, and I just find fun and pleasure in all of them. Yes, we've done some amazing work, Carla and I have together, also with Martha and Greg and you know, Miguel at Reach and stuff like that. You know, it's just like, but every new thing is fun. Like us trying to figure out fucking Instagram was fun. Trying to figure out how to put it, you know, it's like, okay, we're gonna do Instagram. Okay, no, let's switch to Facebook. And no, let's, you know, that was fun. You know what I mean? Because again, we're learning. We're just trying to figure stuff out, and we're also being vulnerable at the same time, which is very, very important. Because if people don't know you need something, how are they gonna give it to you, right? Or they say like closed mouth doesn't get fed, or whatever the case may be. And I tend to keep my mouth closed more times than not. So yeah, they all are fun. This is fun. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And the next one is going to be even more fun, you know? So yeah. I mean, that's just what it is, Hazel. I don't know how else to answer that question other than they all are.
That's fair. That's fair. And I definitely see that from you, like just like in our meetings for House of AWT, like you're just like, oh, and this and this and this project and this project, and you're like, you know. So I definitely, it makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So, one person. I have a few questions. Like I'm gonna look at my little notes because I had a few questions from some people. And then before we go, I definitely want to do a couple of shout outs because there's some people that I just can't not mention. So I think, okay, so one of the questions that we got recently, and shout out to Violet. Violet, if you are online and you're listening, we did get your message, but we were preparing so hard for this weekend. Girl, just, you know, give us a little moment. But one of the main questions was how do I get involved, right? So I always tell people, so for one, the short form answer, in order to get involved, all you have to really do is go to thehouseofart.org, and at the bottom of the page, it says how to become a member or whatnot. And then there's the contact information box, right? And so you can actually just go ahead and send us your information or whatnot, right? Also, too, what helps is if you have existing work, you know, give us your story. Tell us what's actually going on. And whether or not you are an actual artist or you are someone who actually wants to become a mentor with the House of AWT, the thing about it is just give us a little brief story or give us some kind of link where we can actually go and see your work so that we can make sure that you're actually, you know, that our vision and your vision are actually aligned. And that might not even be the right thing to say because again, everyone is not always going to be lined up, right? So let me just correct that. Just so that we can vet your ass and find out and make sure that you are safe to bring into our house, right? For one, because we do work with young people. And two, to also make sure that we can serve you in the best way possible. You know, Violet, again, I did get your message. Hazel got your message, and I was like, well, I would love to know what she actually does. how she actually would like to help, or if she's actually looking for instruction or training and all of those kinds of things. So sending us those kinds of messages really, really help us out. We will be very vigilant in responding. Right, Hazel? Social media manager.
Yeah, and I just want to add, like, if you want to get involved, like, just DM us, like, message us on Facebook, message us on Instagram. Like, you can also go to the, like, message us on all of our platforms. Like, I will see it and I will respond.
Exactly.
And
and we're welcome and we're open to everyone. Everyone, we're, I'm from the House and Ballroom community, and we're all, House and Ballroom is always about inclusion, and so is the House of Art. There's no way that we would turn anyone away. And again, I have so many professional networks that no matter what it is that's a young person is coming to ask for, if I don't know, I definitely can pick up my phone and have someone on speed dial who can answer the question for you. So just reach out, basically, is what it is. The next question was, what does this say? It says, people were saying who actually helps us with creating our content and stuff. Like, how do we create the content and all that? Okay, well, let me tell y'all something. All this content that you guys are seeing, even over the weekend, are actually by the young folks that are members of our house, right? So again, in front of the camera, behind the camera, people like Hazel, right next to me, Kai Keeble, Sharif, Deanna, all of those young people are the people that actually create the work. Tiana Trans, everybody is coming in, and we're just all figuring out how to actually work together as artists. Again, artists working together and creating this content that you see. And again, we really are looking for those donations and more of that professional support so that we can actually bring other folks in when we actually get a little bit overwhelmed. Because do people know, Hazel, that it's only been me and 4 interns actually making all of these things happen? Right? It's only been
we're on our meetings. It's like 4
with
of us.
the support of our other professional artists, like Gina Lamb, the whole Laura Owens camp, and various other people, So again, and unfortunately, the interns, they get credit for school and stuff like that, but we also do like to give summer bonuses to our interns and things like that to let them know that they're appreciated. So y'all, again, donating to us is, really helping us, treat people the way they should be treated, especially Black and brown artists. And I guess that would kind of segue into the next question, because people were asking, well, where the hell is the money going? Right? Well, the money goes basically, the money is basically going into all of the overhead that it takes to actually run our organization. We are still trying in year 2. It's been very difficult with COVID, but we're still looking for an actual physical space. As you can see behind me, this has been my office for the last 6 months. I'm going a little bit stir crazy because I'm an outside person. I like to go out and say, hey, I'm going to the office, honey, and do some work, and those kinds of things. And working from home can often be a little bit distracting. And so I'm really, really pushing for us to move forward with our plans to actually move into a physical space. Too, I would like to hire all 4 of my interns who have been working so hard. They have all managed to wedge a place in this block or foundation that we call the House of Art. They work very, very hard. They are very, very deserving. And I would like nothing more than, as they are graduating, working on their theses and doing these different things, even still working at the House of Art, I would really love to be able to present them with a permanent position with us. And so those are part of the goals as well. And just, again, compensating artists for their work, compensating even whether they be professional artists who are just helping us. Most of the professional artists, what's interesting is that they're just like, no, just keep the honorarium and, use it for another one of the kids or something like that. So there's various different ways that, we utilize the financial donations that we get. I've seen a lot of organizations, and they'll say, well, yeah, we're going to teach 10,000 kids 5,000 programs and 6,000 lives saved, and all of that. And the thing about it is right now we are working one-on-one with these young people, and so their needs all vary. Their needs vary from, again, a young artist who has to choose between food and whether or not they can buy paintbrushes and paint so that they can create, or a young person who maybe has food and has the supplies they need, and they just don't have access to the internet. Or maybe it's a young person that just does not have access to getting to a studio or having a studio to rehearse a dance or something like that. We provide all of those things. There are no limits with us. And again, I really appreciate the artists that have actually supported us thus far, because it's really helped a lot. We've touched a lot of people in the last 6 months. I am very, I'm always like, I'm real amazed at the people that we've touched in 6 months. I'm just like, oh my God, I can imagine what we're gonna look like a year or 2 years from now. So that's where your money is going, just so you know. And so if you'd like to donate products, or if you'd like to donate your time, or whatever the case may be, again, just simply hit us up at thehouseofart.org and go on and send us a message, or DM us, or whatever y'all young people doing nowadays, slide into the DMs or whatever, respectfully. And and we'll, we can get some stuff going on. We can get it going on. Let me see. There was another question. Oh, what are our, okay, so what have we done that we have not shown, or we're not able to show, right, on social media, right? So, so there's a couple of things, right? Okay, so in the house and ballroom community, a lot of people are now having virtual balls, right? So in the past 6 months, we've basically done 3 virtual balls, right? 2 of those were with, we did sponsorships for commentation and different things needed for Purple Crush. Isla, shout out to Isla Jones and Jarrett from the Purple Crush family. They actually do the Banji Ball. And so we did 2 virtual Banji Balls, and one of those was actually, so we did 2 Banji Balls, and we sponsored a lot of stuff, with that or whatnot. And so we're really looking forward to doing more of those. So again, ballroom kids, come on now, we love, the art forms that are really, are living and breathing within the house and ballroom scene. And visibility is very, very important to me when it comes to young Black and brown LGBTQIA+ artists. So again, all you little ballroom folks, come on. And then I have something special. My team doesn't even know this yet, guys, but we actually have some ballroom situations that are going to be going on from the House of Art as well. I mean, hey, I've been around forever, and there's no way that I cannot do some kind of fabulous ballroom something or other. So just be waiting for that. Again, folks out there, donate, because these projects are just going to get bigger and bigger and better and better. So we do have something for that. And then we also did another ball in collaboration on Bigo, in collaboration with Reach LA and the LGBT Center, right? Where Ms. Rahi / Gorgeous Gucci actually was the commentator. And so we did a collaboration, as far as, the house and ballroom virtual balls are concerned, right? I think they're actually fun. Thank you for those who've had me on panels. That's been really great and exciting. So we're looking forward to that. And we've done those, right? Some of the other workshops or collaborations or one-on-ones that we've had have actually been with younger folks who, again, just to protect them and their anonymity, or however you say that word, protect their privacy. We are not able to actually expose who they are or what we've actually done with them. And everybody can understand that. Also too, I co-produced, which was really great. I actually co-produced a panel discussion along with my good friend Ryan Hope with AT&T League and HBO Proud for Pride Month. And that was something that we can't show because it was an internalized employee panel discussion, what and whatnot, right? So we had Dolores Ninja, legendary Father Jamari Blahnik, legendary Twiggy Pucci Garçon, Calypso Jete Balmain. I'm sorry, and I said legendary Father Jamari Blahnik, and it's legendary Father Jamari Balmain, right? And they're all from Legendary, as well as, again, and I said Dolores Ninja. And so we have them. Oh, and overall, can't forget overall, overall mother Michelet Saint Laurent, right? Okay, so they were all on a panel discussion. And basically we just talked about different ballroom aspects, all that kind of stuff. And basically everyone was giving their opinions and things on the Breonna Taylor situations, you know, the protests, the marching, and all of that. So that was really, really great. But again, it was an internal thing, and I believe we had close to 900 people within the AT&T, you know, Viacom, you know, umbrella conglomerate, whatever. So that was really, really exciting. Yeah, and so I don't know. Can you think of anything else that we've kind of done, Hazel? Because there was just, you know, I just kind of do the work.
There's so many things. Yeah, there's so many things, and we've put out so much, and there's so much more to come.
Highlights on Instagram.
Yeah, that was
highlights on Instagram, where we do our best every week to highlight a up and coming artist within the community. And we kind of do a full little spread and little testimonial and kind of let you know what they've done and what they're working on now. Yeah, and then we're doing the Art of series. We hope to really do a lot more of those. I think that's it. Job, that ain't enough. I don't know. What do you...
Yeah, we've done so much, and we've done so much, and we're only technically 6 months. We're a 6-month-old. I mean, come on.
No. I mean, again, my experience in doing what I'm doing lends to that. So it's not like you know, but I'm just putting a lot on that 6 months, because I didn't think I was gonna be able to do this much in 6 months. I thought it was gonna take me 6 months to realize that I'm actually working for myself. You know what I mean? And really directly with community, and I am the boss, and no one can fire me, and you know, and all that. You know what I mean? And having to look over, you know, and worry about protecting. And all of that. And that's something that we all kind of face when we're working for other folks, right? And so I'm really grateful and blessed to be, you know, to be able to do my own thing, so to speak. And I don't know if people would know what they're in store for, like at this point, right? Because I'm just like, my head, there's a lot in this head of mine. And it is to benefit everyone around me. So it's not going to be a dangerous game we're playing. It's going to be very, very safe and very lucrative for everyone. Right?
It's been so amazing to watch this organization grow, and to be able to be a part of making your vision a reality. That it's just, I'm so excited for our next year. So yeah, everyone donate, so that we can keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, Hazel, I think that was kind of it for the question.
I think this is great, and we can do another one of these with people's questions, like, you know, if you
guys have other questions, please feel free to ask them. I can really go into, you know, we definitely do have a 5-year plan. It definitely involves a house. It definitely involves a, you know, a full out facility and whatnot. But right now we're just doing everything that we can to do what we can to keep young people motivated. Right now, education is very, very scarce for a lot of young people. And I'm really fearful that we're raising a generation of young people that are going to be very lost if they are not equipped with the skills to use what they have inside of them to create something even more and better for them in their lives. So yeah, I mean, hey, hit us up. We're here. We're going to be here all weekend too. Make sure you follow us. If you can't donate, again, it doesn't cost much to like, share, and subscribe. Because again, as you can see, you know, Hazel and them really want to work for the House of Art, and we really want them there. And again, you know, it's just really important right now that we actually get this thing going and really start and keep the momentum up. And that's all.
So thank you everyone for coming and watching this. Thank you, Sean, for opening up and speaking to your experience to this amazing organization.
Oh, wait.
Thanks to the team.
Go ahead. Oh, thanks to her. You were about to do the shout outs because I was like, oh my God, there's certain people we have to shout out. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I just want to thank the team, everyone behind the scenes, everyone at House of AWT who's been putting in so much work to make this weekend possible, to continue to show the world what we're about. And Sean, you go for it.
So, okay, you guys, I just have to give these shout outs because they may have gotten lost in translation in all of our videos and all of our work and stuff. So I have to definitely give a shout out to Carla Gordon. We love you and we thank you so very much for your support. A lot of people think you're Charlie because a lot of my young people have not even met you physically yet. But that's just due to COVID. So every time they're like, oh, is that Charlie on the phone? Yes. So we are all your angels here in Los Angeles and we're working very, very hard to make you proud. Also, I wanted to shout out to our music production supervisor, Anthony Sinclair. A lot of people don't know. He is the person who actually, when it comes to these live events and live music sessions, or if an artist needs, which you'll see later on in the weekend, but if an artist needs, live music for their shows and whatnot, he is the person that actually puts that together and approves all that stuff for us. So I want to give a big shout out to him. To my inspiration for even coming up with this concept of this name and AWT goes to Adrian Adams, AKA Emily, AKA M007. He was the one that would just always say, it's about AWT, honey, it's about AWT, right? And I said to him one day, I said, you know what? We should really open up an organization called the House of AWT. And it just went from there. So thank you, Adrian Adams. We love you. I know you're in school and all those kinds of things. Keep going, keep going, keep going. You're so amazing. Jane McCarthy from UCLA for helping us put all this fundraising structure together, giving us your tips, your tricks, and really supporting us in that. Amy Bauman from the Laura Owens camp, as well as Laura Owens, of course. My girlfriend, oh my God, and I hope to be a bigger and better friend with her. She was one of the first people to reach out when I requested, certain help from certain people. Olivia Marciano and the family, you are definitely in our hearts as you battle the wildfires and whatnot that are in Northern California. Again, thank you so very much. OMG and Lucas Lux. Mother Fee, legendary Mother Fee Garcon, Lucas Lux. Please follow at Lucas Lux _ on Instagram. Thank you so very much. We were rushing, we were doing a lot of different things, and we accidentally left you out of one of the credits on the videos, but thank you for the glam mama. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it for helping our young artists look and be amazing. And I want to say, I think that's probably it. I don't think there's anyone who we haven't credited. I mean, I'm all about that too, just crediting people and just saying thank you. Just saying thank you. So anyway, Hazel, I'm gonna let these people go. We got other things to do as well. I think I gotta jump on camera or do something in a minute. So we'll try to figure all that out. And bye everyone, and thank you. Please donate. Please, thank you so much. Donate. And if not, just fucking like and share. Just like and share. Shit, it's that easy.
Yeah.
Well, all right, Hazel.
Awesome. Okay.
Thank you. This was so nice, and thank you for taking time out. I know you're about to jump on that computer and make sure that all this stuff is running properly.
Yeah, of course. So, of course. It was a joy.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll see you soon.
Okay. All right. Bye.